Imagine sipping a cup of freshly brewed tea made entirely from plants you've grown yourself. Sounds amazing, right? Well, today, I'm going to show you how to create your very own tea garden at home. From choosing the right plants and growing them step by step to harvesting, drying, and finally enjoying your tea, we'll cover it all. Whether you have a backyard, a balcony, or just a sunny windowsill, anyone can do this. Let's dive in. To get started, you'll need a few key things. First, let's talk about the plants. If you're looking to grow true tea, you'll want Camellia sinensis, the plant responsible for green, black, and oolong teas. For a more herbal variety, consider plants like mint, chamomile, lemon balm, lavender, or lemongrass. These are perfect for a caffeine-free alternative and add unique flavors to your blends. Next, think about containers and soil. If you're planting in pots, choose ones with good drainage to avoid waterlogging. For soil, go with something well-draining and slightly acidic, with a pH around 6 to 6.5. You can mix in compost or organic fertilizer to give your plants a nutrient boost. As for location, tea plants thrive in partial shade or filtered sunlight. If you're growing indoors, place your pots near a bright, south-facing window or invest in grow lights to mimic natural sunlight. Finally, gather some essential tools like pruning shears for trimming, gardening gloves for protection, and a watering can to keep your plants hydrated. Starting your tea garden is easier than you think. Begin by preparing your soil. Tea plants love rich, loamy soil, so mix in compost or an organic fertilizer to create the perfect growing environment. If you're planting in containers, make sure they have proper drainage holes to prevent soggy roots. Next, plant your tea saplings or seeds. If you're using Camellia sinensis, plant the seeds about 2 inches deep. Or if you have saplings, transfer them carefully into your prepared pots or garden beds. For herbs, follow the planting instructions specific to each plant. Most thrive when planted at the same depth as in their original containers. Once planted, water your tea plants consistently, keeping the soil moist but not overly wet. Mist the leaves occasionally, especially for herbs like mint and chamomile that enjoy a bit of humidity. Tea plants also need pruning to maintain their shape and encourage leaf growth. Trim them lightly during the growing season, focusing on removing any dead or overcrowded leaves. When your tea plants are lush and healthy, it's time for the most exciting part: harvesting. For true tea plants like Camellia sinensis, focus on picking the youngest, most tender leaves. These are typically the top 2 to 3 leaves and the bud of each stem. Harvesting is best done in the morning, as this is when the oils in the leaves are most concentrated, giving you the richest flavors. For herbs like mint or chamomile, harvesting is just as simple. With mint, trim the stems just above a set of leaves to encourage regrowth. Chamomile flowers should be harvested when they're fully open, but before they begin to wither. Simply snip the blooms right at the base. Drying your tea leaves is an essential step to preserve their flavor and aroma. For herbs like mint, chamomile, or lavender, air drying is the easiest method. Bundle the stems together and hang them upside down in a cool, dark, and dry place. Make sure there's good airflow to prevent mold. If you're drying leaves from Camellia sinensis, you can use a dehydrator or an oven. Spread the leaves in a single layer on a baking sheet and bake them at a low temperature, around 200 degrees, 193 degrees Celsius, for 15 to 20 minutes. If you're making black tea, you can also ferment the leaves before drying. To do this, crush the harvested leaves lightly to release their juices, and let them oxidize in a cool, dark place for 24 hours. This process gives black tea its signature rich flavor. Once dried, store your tea leaves in airtight containers to keep them fresh. Glass jars with tight lids work great, but make sure to keep them out of direct sunlight to preserve the delicate flavors. Now that your tea leaves are ready, it's time to brew. Use about 1 teaspoon of dried leaves per cup of water. Bring water to the appropriate temperature. Herbal teas typically steep best with boiling water, while green and white teas prefer slightly cooler water to avoid bitterness. Let your tea steep for 3 to 5 minutes, depending on your taste preferences. You can enjoy it plain or enhance the flavor with honey, lemon, or even a splash of milk. As you sip, take a moment to appreciate the journey your tea has taken, from a tiny seedling to a steaming cup in your hands. There's something so satisfying about growing and enjoying your own tea. Here's a little tea trivia to share with your friends. All true teas, whether green, black, oolong, or white, come from the same plant, Camellia sinensis. The difference lies entirely in how the leaves are processed. Green tea is steamed to stop oxidation, black tea is fully oxidized, and oolong sits somewhere in between. That's it, your guide to growing your very own tea garden. Not only is this a rewarding and relaxing project, but it's also a sustainable way to enjoy fresh, homemade tea. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and comment below with your favorite type of tea. I'd love to hear how your tea garden turns out. Until next time, happy gardening and happy sipping.